Hello students and welcome to today's session on discussion for Geography Syllabus for CUET PG examination 2023. The subject code for Geography is PGUB17, so do remember that. And last week NTA had announced the date for the examinations which are scheduled to be held in the first week of June, and yesterday NTA uploaded the syllabus for the examinations. So it is a high time for you to start preparing for the examinations. So in this session today, what we would be doing is we would be discussing topics. A detailed discussion would focus on each of the topics so that you can channelize your preparation in the right direction. And also at the end of the session, we would be discussing the questions which were asked in 2022 CUET examinations from each of the topics so that you can channelize your preparation in the right direction. So without wasting further moment, let's start this session. So before starting the session, let me tell you something about myself. My name is Harsh and I am an educator at HUAT. I have been teaching geography for past many years, and this is specialization I have acquired during my graduation in BHU, where I was doing geography honors and my masters in JNU. Currently, I am pursuing for my doctoral degrees. I recently qualified NET examination in my first attempt, and last year I also appeared for CUET examination for MSc Geoinformatics, where I secured first attempt. So that was all that you needed to know about me. Now let's start with the session. So the syllabus for geography is really vast and it is divided into three parts: physical geography, human geography, and geographical techniques, which are further divided into 14 sections. So this is an extensive syllabus, and given the time which is remaining, it would be very difficult for you to go through the entire syllabus, as each of the topics, each of the 14 sections here is in individual books. So you will have to cover in 14 books. So that would be too much. So in this session, what we would be doing is we would be discussing the important topics from each of the sections which you need to focus more so as to score more than 80% of the marks to get you in the university of your choice. So let's first start with physical geography. So the most important part in physical geography is geomorphology, and every year you would see that majority of the questions are asked from geomorphology itself. So we would start with discussion on geomorphology. So geomorphology is basically study of variation and relief on the surface of the earth. So the questions which would be asked to you, geomorphology, would be based on earth forms and the factors responsible for variation in them. So starting with solar system and earth, the first topic here which is asked is origin of the earth. So in origin of the earth topic, you do not have to go through the entire theories regarding the origin. What you just need to do is you need to know the name of the theories, the name of scientists or scholars who propounded those theories, and some of the important key characteristics, like when we study uh, nebular hypothesis, so is it a hot body hypothesis or a cold body hypothesis? Likewise, if you study about planetesimal hypothesis, so you must be knowing what is planetesimal hypothesis. You don't need to go through line by line study here. You just have to focus on the name of the theories and the scientists who propounded those theories. In the topic Earth's interior, what you need to focus on is the layers of the Earth, what are their densities, and then up to what extent each of the layer spans. Then you have to focus on the boundary between the layers. These are only few of the important things that you will have to go through in the topic Earth's interior. Geological timescale. Direct questions are not asked from this topic, but if you study this topic, it will help you in the Indian geology part. And also sometimes questions are asked in the way like when were dinosaurs found, in which geological era. So you must have knowledge of what are eons, what is era, what is period, which will subjugate your knowledge. Okay. Next topic is Earth's material and minerals. So this is one of the important topics. You have to go through this topic in very detail along with rocks. So you need to learn in sequence what are the different materials or minerals which form the earth, and also uh, what what is the constituent part of each of them. You should prepare mnemonics to learn those in this session. In the earth, material and rock section, what you should do, you should make mnemonics for this part. Okay, so in this way you will be able to easily learn and you will be able to retain it for longer period of time. And so goes with rock classification characteristics. So you need to focus on what are the various forms in which rocks are found, like are they volcanic rocks or are they plutonic rocks, and then uh, their classification: igneous, metamorphic and sedimentary. So usually questions from rocks would be like, they will give you a name of the rock and they will ask you what type of rock is this, or they will give you four names and you will have to find the odd one out. So these are the two type of questions which would be asked in the topic rocks. Now talking about the next order of landforms. So rarely question come from these topics. It is basically the topic where they would ask you theories concerning the different arrangement of landforms. So like if they give you the question, who propounded theories like tetrahedral hypothesis? So it would be just a one word answer. So that is all you have to focus in this topic. Next is Wegener's theory. So this is one of the important topic, one of the most important topic, because every year when you see the question papers, you will find that there are questions from Wegener's theory, continental drift theory. So three things which you have to keep in mind while reading this theory is: you need to focus on what were the reasons that he propounded this theory, or why he propounded this theory, what he wanted to prove from this theory. So this is the first reason. Then the second reason is, the second point which you need to remember is uh, what were the forces which were responsible for movement of landform. That should be your second important topic, key point. And the third point is, they sometimes ask questions like this: he, what were the north and south pole in this geological time according to Wegener's theory. So such types of questions would be asked in the topic continental drift theory. So that is all. From plate tectonics, they will usually ask you theories regarding mountain building, like mountain building and seafloor spreading. So that is all. So you just need to know who propounded the theory of plate tectonics, what are the number of plates, and where are they located. That is all you need to study in plate tectonics. Now talking about the endogenic processes. So in endogenic processes topic, the first three part: fold, faults, and dome, and their resultant landform. So this part is usually theory part. So what you need to do, you need to have an understanding of what are different kind of fold, and then what are faults, what are different kinds of faults. Okay, that is the first thing. And in fold section, you also need to know the theories responsible for the formation of foods. So that is the second most important part that you need to focus in this topic. Now, earthquake and volcanoes. So in earthquake, two, three important points you need to retain while you are studying this topic is: what are the different kind of waves that an earthquake has? Okay, which of the wave is most lethal to mankind, or which of the wave is most destructive? And the third point is, what are the different scales which are used to measure each of them? The earthquake zonation of India, based on the damages caused, is also an important topic which you should pay attention to while you are reading earthquakes. Also, you should remember the shadow zones associated with each of the earthquake waves, which helps in explaining the interior of the earth. So that also you should keep in mind while reading this topic. Coming to the last part of geomorphology. So in this, you will be asked questions from weathering, mass wasting and resultant landform, formation of regolith in soil, geomorphic agents and processes, fluvial, glacial, coastal, arid and karst landform, geomorphic hazards and their effect. So basically, you will have to focus and mostly on the landforms associated with different geomorphic agents, and also on weathering and mass wasting. So in weathering, you should focus on what are the different types of weathering, in which environmental conditions they take place. Like there is a change in from physical to chemical and chemical to physical with the change in temperature, as well as the change in humidity conditions as we go from dry to humid climate. So you need to know those. In mass wasting, you need to be able to differentiate between slide, fall, and creep. Okay, questions will be asked like you have to determine which one is more rapid rate of transmission. So is it slide, is it creep, or is it fall? In the factors responsible for formation of soil, you will have to study the different soil forming processes and then horizons of soil and the distribution of soil. So soil you will have to do both for India as well as for the world. In the last part, geomorphic agents, this will contain the most number of questions and this is an extensive topic. So here what you need to know, well, this part is extensive and the more names of landforms you know, the better marks you will be able to fetch in the this part. So you will be asked questions based on identification of the type of landforms, whether it is erosional landform or depositional landform. Then you will ask question on whether it is the work of which of the agent of erosion. Is it a glacial, coastal, arid, or karst? So these are the questions which would be asked from exogenic processes, and I'm damn sure that there would be one or two questions from this topic only. So you need to prepare this topic really well. Now that was all about geomorphology. Switch to the next part, which is climatology. So in climatology, questions usually asked vary from 3 to 5 in numbers, and there would be straightforward questions. There would be no analytical questions from this topic. So firstly, composition and structure of the atmosphere and heat budget. So in this part, in the composition of atmosphere, what you need to do, you need to prepare a mnemonics. And what would the mnemonics about? It would be about the constituent gases of the atmosphere, and you need to remember it in order as questions are asked to rank based on the proportion in the atmosphere of different gases. So you need to do that. In the structure of atmosphere, you need to know the layer structure. Where is ozone layer situated in which of the layer of the atmosphere, and also you need to know the heating properties or the characteristics of different gases, like what are the heating characteristics of vapor in the atmosphere, water vapor in the atmosphere, then of carbon, methane, nitrogen, and oxygen. So these things you need to know in the topic's composition and structure of the atmosphere. In the heat budget topic, you need to know the albedo of the Earth, that is really important, and what are the different proportion of heat that is reflected back from the surface of the Earth. So when I say this, it means that questions can be asked like what percent of proportion of heat is reflected back from the clouds, top of the cloud. So if you know, you can write 27%. So, and there would very straightforward question from the first topic. Now, second, atmospheric pressure. So, vertical pressure gradient questions have never been asked in the recent past, but horizontal distribution and pressure belts. These questions are often asked from this topic, so you need to prepare it. Then there is winds and the causes of circulation of wind. So pressure gradient force, Coriolis force, frictional force, and the interplay of these three forces together result to different patterns of circulation. So you need to know that what are geostrophic winds, what is Coriolis force. So questions can be asked from this topic. These would be very straightforward questions. Now, type of winds. So planetary winds, periodic winds, local winds. In this topic, they can ask you questions about the direction of planetary winds. So they would say westerly and their direction in southern hemisphere or northern hemisphere. Okay. Then they can ask you questions about periodic winds. So here they will ask what are katabatic winds. They will give you name of four winds and they will ask you to identify which one of the following is katabatic wind and which is the anabatic wind. Then they will give you characteristics of sea winds and land breeze, and they will ask you questions like how to how do they impact the climate, up to what level they will impact the climate of the coastal area. So such questions is asked. In the next topic, local winds. So what you need to do, you need to mug up the name of local winds. This will be really little difficult to you. So I think making maps and learning the name of local winds will be effective, because there is every year a question on local wind. Like last year also they asked a question on Chinook. So which you need to know which of the following local winds are warm, which of the following local winds are cold, also which are catabatic, which are anabatic, which are channelized. So you need to know these things. This topic is important one. Then talking about the temperature factors and distribution, and temperature inversion. So the first part is not really important. They won't ask questions from temperature factor and distribution as they haven't in near past. But temperature inversion is an important topic. So they talk about both surface inversion of temperature as well as the inversion in upper atmosphere due to ozone layer. So go through this topic. There they can also ask you about mountain and valley breeze here. Questions have been asked. Okay, so they will relate temperature inversion, mountain and valley breeze with periodic winds. So be prepared for this topic. Next is atmospheric moisture and humidity. The common questions from humidity would be difference between absolute and relative humidity. Then what is relative humidity? What are the factors which affect relative humidity? How humidity affects evaporation? Okay, and then in condensation, questions will be asked on dew point. Okay, or the conditions which are essential for dew point. Then fogs are important. They will ask questions on formation of fogs, what are different type of fogs, okay, where they are found, or which of the zones of the world are known for intensive fogs. So they would ask us questions. Then in condensation, they will ask question on clouds. So what they can ask here is they will give you names of the cloud, and then you will have to arrange them in vertical order based on height in the atmosphere, or they give you the name of the cloud and you will be asked to arrange it at ascending or descending order based on the potential to bring rains. Okay, so this they can ask in condensation. Now hydrological cycle. So hydrological cycle, you need to know the concentration of water in different forms in atmosphere, on land. Okay, and also on land you need to know where the major proportion of water is and where the minimum proportion of water is, because last year they asked questions on ranking. So they gave five things: pond, river, lake, glacier, and they asked to rank based on the proportion of fresh water in each one of them. Okay, so you need to prepare hydrological cycle as well. You cannot read this thinking this is a very easy topic. Then monsoon. So monsoon is extensive topic, but you do not need to go through it line by line for this examination, because what they will ask you is the factors which are responsible for monsoon as by Monix expedition. Then they will ask you about the distribution of rainfall in the country. Okay, and then they can ask you about uh, the condition in the subcontinent for onset and withdrawal of the monsoon. These are the four topics they have usually asked in the past. So that was all about atmospheric moisture. Now let's switch to air masses and fronts. So atmospheric disturbances, tropical and temperate cyclones. So what they will ask is where they are found, are they high pressure system or low pressure system? Common questions. Then they will ask the condition required for the formation of tropical and temperate cyclones, and what are the regions the tropical cyclones are found, what are different names for tropical cyclones in different region. That is all they can ask in tropicals. One more thing, they can also ask you about the cells. Yeah, this is a very common question. So the different bands of tropical cyclone questions are asked on them. El Nino and Southern Oscillation. Okay, so in this topic, the questions which have been asked in the past and which you need to focus is on the pressure and temperature condition in the eastern and western part of Pacific Ocean, as well as the sea level condition. So whether there is warm water on the surface or cold water on the surface in both the parts, that you need to focus. Then what is the rainfall condition when there is positive phase of El Nino Southern Oscillation and negative phase of El Nino Southern Oscillation in both Indian monsoon and Australian monsoon. So that is what you need to focus on this topic. And the last of this is climate cause classification. So it is saying both Köppen and Thornbill classification, but questions have never been asked on Thornbill classification. So what you need to do, you need to know 2-3 points about Thornbill classification, like when was it propounded, on what criteria Thornbill has classified the um, climate of the region, and it is the first classification that has 4 letters in it. Okay, so this is all about Thornbill classification. Now switching to Köppen. Köppen, when was the Köppen climate classification propounded? And what are the regional division of Indian subcontinent based on Köppen's scheme? Okay, so that you need to know, and also what is meant by different letters. So questions will be like AF will be written, and then you will have to tell what does that mean. Okay, so that is all that would be asked in climate classification. Atmospheric pollution and global warming. So this topic is repetitive. It would be covered in environment part also. Okay, so here if you study that, it would help you because you can relate it better with the atmospheric part. So in atmospheric pollution and global warming, questions would be on UN meetings, conferences, protocols which have been formed to counter global warming. Atmospheric pollution, what are the sources of pollution? What are the major greenhouse gases? What is their potential? Like carbon is the largest concent found in largest concentration of the atmosphere, but it has less potential of warming than methane. Okay, so you need to know these points. So that would be all for climatology section. Now switching to the next part, that would be oceanography. Okay, so this is a really small part of the syllabus. Here only 3 things that you have to focus on is first would be the ocean relief, the second would be ocean deposits and ocean currents, and the third would be your coral reefs. Okay, so recently what we found in papers of the past year that they have been asking questions on the relief of Indian Ocean. Okay, so the questions are such that they give you name of 4 shelves or 4 relief forms, and then they will ask you to arrange them in north to south order or east to west order. So you need to know that. So don't do it for every ocean, but you should know for Indian Ocean. So do that. Next, ocean circulation. So you need to know the name of warm currents and cold currents for all the oceans. Okay, this is an important part because the syllabus for oceanography is really short, really small. So you should know all the things from these topics. And the last one would be ocean deposits and coral reefs. So in coral reefs, questions are asked on the origin theories for coral reef. So you need to know that. Second, what you need to know is what are the different forms of coral reef, the largest coral reef, and what are the conditions for formation of coral reef. And then you need to know about ocean deposits. So what are pelagic deposits and all, you should know that. So that would be all for oceanography. Next and the last part of physical geography would be biogeography. So in the first part, biosphere meaning and concept, what you need to do, you need to know different terms and who propounded those terms, like who propounded the term biosphere, who propounded the term ecotone, who propounded the term ecology. These all things you need to know. And then you need to know what are the major biomes of the world, what is man and biosphere program, and which of the biosphere in India are part of the world network of biosphere reserve. Okay, so that what you need to know. Next is the trophic level, energy flow, cycles, food chain, food web, and ecological pyramid. So in trophic level, what you need to know is the transfer of energy and mass. So what is the change as you move from bottom of pyramid to the top of pyramid, that you need to know. And in cycles, so mostly questions are asked from nitrogen cycle, like what is nitrogen fixation, what is ammonification. So you need to focus more on nitrogen cycle. Okay, and then food chain and food web and ecological pyramid. These are all available to you very easily. You can access to them. The last part, human interaction and impacts. Okay, so here environmental impact assessment and environmental policies of the government of India, like Air Act, Water Act, okay, Environmental Protection Act. You need to know the year in which these acts were enacted, as well as what special powers did they give to the government or to communities. to protect the environment. So that would be all for physical geography. Now let's jump to the human geography part. Okay, so the first part is geographical part. This is the really important part of your syllabus. Okay, you will get at least 40% of your questions from geographical part. So you need not miss any of the topics in this part. So nature and scope of geography. So what you will have to do here is a brief historical overview. Basically, you will start from the ancient concept of geography, how geography evolved, contribution of different thinkers. So Greeks, Roman, Chinese, Arab, Indian scholar, how they contributed to the idea of geography. Then what are the recent trends in geography, and who brought geography in its present form to the modern world. So the later on, the contribution of geographers and scholars from 18th century onward. So that also you will have to cover. So what you need to remember is what were the major contributions, and sometimes question are asked like they will give you a line and they will ask who said these lines. Okay, so when you find such lines, you need to put it in double inverted commas and you need to remember that, because geographical thought is a very important part of the syllabus. Next is dualism in geographic studies. Okay, so in dualism, who propounded different dualisms first time, and um, that will be all. I think that would be asked in dualism in geographic studies. Paradigm shift. So here they will ask you the key characteristics of what is positivism, behaviorism, humanism, structuralism, feminism, and postmodernism, as well as those who propounded it. So you need to go through each of these topics very carefully. You cannot miss any of these. Okay, now let's jump to the next part. That would be your population geography. So here in population geography, what you need to do, you start with races. What are the different races that are found on the surface of the earth? Okay, their distinctive culture and characteristic, their distribution, human adaptation to the environment, adaptation in modern society, globalization and cultural change, language, communication, and belief. So that is all you will be doing in division of mankind. So basically you will have to know what are the different racial groups or tribes and where are they located in the first part. Okay, and the second language part here. So you need to, in Indian context, you will be need to know which language belongs to which language family. Okay, next distribution and density. So these are basically facts. Okay, question would be asked to you from census here for factors, growth and distribution, population composition, population theories, health and well-being. So you need to know the population centers or population concentration areas in the world as well as for India. We will come to India later, but this is for the world. So you need to know which continents are the poles for population distribution, which those who have major population, what are those areas. Then you need to know the top 10 countries on population distribution. Then health and well-being in this human development index questions can be asked. Okay, and population theories. So different theories of population which have been propounded. Demographic transition theory is an important part in this population theory. So you need to know what are the factors that affect population in demographic transition theory, who propounded demographic transition theory. Okay, these things you need to know. Next part would be migration. So internal and international settlements, rural and urban. In settlements, you know to the rank size rule. Questions are asked based on rank size rule. Then urbanization process, pattern and world distribution, population policies. These questions will be asked to you. In migration, the push and pull factors which are responsible for migration of population are also asked. Okay, so you need to go through this topic very diligently. Electoral geography. So geopolitics is an important part in here. You need to know the basic difference between frontier and boundary. That is all. But in the second part, geopolitics and world order, geopolitical conflicts, you need to go through this part very carefully. You need to know the different geopolitical theories as well as who propounded them, what are the key features of those theories, and when were they propounded. That is all you need to do in physical population geography. Next would be your geography of resources. So this is basically extension of the biogeography part. Okay, you can club it with it. So here, classification of resources: what are renewable resources, what are non-renewable resources, what are biotic resources, what are abiotic resources. Basically the first chapter of class 10th NCERT, that is the geography of resources. What are forest and soil resources? Okay, problem of deforestation, soil erosion, water pollution, exploitation of natural resources. So human activities: mining, agriculture and industrialization, population explosion and food security, environmental hazards. These are all very journal topic, and you can get enough information about them from your environment book of Arihant as well as from NCRTs. So that is all you need to know about these topics. Okay. So now let's switch to the next part of the syllabus, that would be economic geography. So this is an extensive topic as well as factual topic. You need to know all the facts concerning these things. So sectors of economy, the first part. So contribution of primary, secondary and tertiary sectors to the economy, to GDP, okay, and favorable geographical condition for different economic activities. You just focus on primary, secondary and tertiary activities. What are the contribution to GDP and to economy of the country? Then in agriculture, what are the primary crops, commercial crops, and distribution and production of livestock and fisheries, important fishing grounds. So you need to know the facts like top 5 producer of meat, rice and maize, and also the export and import from those country to India and India to abroad. Okay, so you need to know this. Then in mining, so in mining you need to know the areas of iron ore, manganese, bauxite and copper in the past and as well as in the present. So that would be all for mining activity. Next would be fuel and power resources. So here you will know the distribution and production of coal, petroleum, hydroelectric. You need to mug up what are all the areas where these resources are found. Also here in petroleum resources, you need to know about OPEC. Okay, questions are asked from OPEC like what are the member countries in OPEC and how do they control the prices. So you don't need to know how do they control prices, but you need to know what are the member countries of OPEC. Next would be manufacturing industries, factors affecting location and distribution of manufacturing industries. Okay, major manufacturing industries like iron and steel, cotton textile, tea, sugarcane. These will be all major manufacturing industries and you need to know. Then major and trend in international trade. So it would be two part: pre-globalization and post-globalization. Transport, so relative significance of different means of transport. So here you will need to know about the rail routes, which is given in your class 12 book. Okay, and as well as the roadways. So what are trans-Canadian roadways, trans-Canadian railways? Okay, you need to know these things in transportation section. Next we switch. I have clubbed Indian geography part from both human and physical part here. Okay, so we will go through physical geography part. So geological structure, physical features, drainage pattern, soil type, natural vegetation of India. In geological structure, you need to focus on different rock layers, okay, and what are the minerals which are found in them. Physical features and divisions, what you have to study. You have to study Himalayas, northern Indian plains, peninsular plateau, coastal plains and islands. Okay, drainage pattern, drainage as well as drainage pattern. So you need to know the name of rivers, where they flow through, as well as important multi-purpose project on dam. Soil types and distribution and natural vegetation. This would be climate. So if you have covered monsoon in climatology, you don't have to put any extra effort here. You just have to focus here on distribution of temperature and rainfall during monsoon season in India, and onset and withdrawal of monsoon. Next would be distribution of mineral resources. The two group of minerals like the ones found in Northeast India and the one found in Southern India. So you need to know. Then human part, where we're doing cultural landscape, population. So here we will talking about population distribution, growth, density, settlements and urbanization. We will be focusing here. You should be focusing here on the population growth in past decades, which states of India show highest growth rate and which states show lowest growth rate. You need to know at least five, and you need to know which union territory has the largest population, which union territory has the lowest population. The same will go in the case of urban agglomeration, which urban agglomeration has the largest population, which urban agglomeration has the lowest population. and then you will have to do it for category also for SC and for SCT. Okay. One thing I forgot to tell you under this section, massive vegetation. You need to know which states have largest proportion of area under forest as well as the largest area under forest in terms of hectares. Okay. Agriculture, so major crops, impact of green revolution, regional classification of India based on agriculture by Planning Commission that you can study here. Industrial development, location and distribution of iron and steel, cement, cotton textile and sugar industry, and industrial region, different industrial regions of India that you can study here. Next would be transport network. So the east-west corridor, north-south corridor, as well as the major transport lines. Then international trade, internal trade, and external trade. These all things need to be studied in human geography. Then I have the planning studies. So here regional development plannings adopted by initially 5-year plans. So like you know about hill area development plan. Okay, so you need to know what you need to know here is when were these plans implemented and what was the target area in which states of India these plans were implemented. That is all you need to know in geography of India. Now coming to the last part of the discussion, geographical techniques. So here you will be knowing cartography, first part. So in cartography, elements of map size, what are map scale concepts, different concepts regarding map scale construction. Then there would be general principles of classification of projections, what different type of classification. Mercator projection is the most important one. You need to know about Mercator projection, what is rumb line. Questions are very easily asked from this topic. Then methods of showing relief, so different profile types. Then instrument for collection of weather data. So one thing you need to memorize here is all the terms starting with the ISO. So isotherm, iso height, isobar, isohaline, iso anomaly, isonef. Okay, you need to memorize all the terms. They always come in the form of match the column. So you will need to match them. So you need to know, if you know these, you will get a clear 2 marks. Then the symbols used in weather map, that is asked. Interpretation of daily Indian weather map. This question is never asked. Okay. Mapping techniques. Okay. So where is dot map used? Where is isopleth map used? Where is choropleth map used? Where is chorochromatic technique used? You need to know this. Surveying techniques. In surveying techniques, you basic principles of surveying. This part is never asked. Chain and tape survey. Okay, you need to know prismatic compass survey, plane table survey, labeling technique. On what principle do they rely on? What surveying? That is all you need to know here. Then in the next part, what you need to know is statistical techniques. So statistical question, tabular form. There will be questions you will have to calculate standard deviation or mean, if so. And this part, uh, usually correlation and regression analysis questions are asked. Okay. In the last part, remote sensing and GIS, you need to know the basic principles, very basic principles of remote sensing. So you need to know what is aerial photography, what are the different types of aerial photography, what are the different applications of remote sensing techniques. Here you need to know about spatial and non-spatial data, what is vector data, what is raster data, okay, what is point, line, and polygon, what is it used to denote. That is all you need to know here. Then basic principles of global navigation satellite system. So here GPS, number of satellites in the constellation of satellite owned by GPS. So that is all you need to know. So that was all in today's discussion session. Okay, now I bring to you the number of questions which were asked in from these topics in the past examination. So as you can see here, geographical thought, 11 questions out of 75. 11 questions were from geographical thought. So the blue color shows human geography, red one shows physical geography, and the yellow one is for practicals. Okay, and this one is geography of India. So as you see, bunch of the questions, geographical thought, geomorphology, geography of India. So here you see that if you prepare geomorphology, geographical thought, population geography, geography of India, so you will be able to answer most of the questions. Agriculture geography is important, oceanography is important, climatology is important, but last year number of questions asked from them was very few. So it can happen that this year the number of questions asked from agriculture, geography, or climatology can increase, but the trend would be similar. Most of the questions would be from geographical thought and geomorphology. So you need to prepare in the same way only. Don't spend too much time studying settlement geography when you know that geographical thought and geomorphology are the important ones. Okay. Okay. So that is all about today's session. Now I recommend you few books which you should go through if you are preparing, and if you are starting you should start at earnest. So start with NCERT, the basic books, because none of the books will give you the basic idea. So in NCERT you will have to go through 11th and 12th. So there are two physical geography books in class 11th, two human geography books in class 12th, two practical geography, one of 11th, one of 12th, and two remote sensing and GIS. This most of you don't know, but when you go to CBSE's website, you can download remote sensing and geographical information system book from NCERT of CBSE. Okay, one is for class 11th, other is for class 12th, and it will give you detailed idea of the basics of remote sensing and GIS. Questions are usually asked from this book only. So go through this, and it is very basic book. So it will help you to build your understanding. For physical geography, you can go to Savinder Singh. That would be your primary book. Then you can refer to Physical Geography Made Simple of Rupa Publication and GC Leong. Okay, you can go to these books as well, but you will have to acquire all your knowledge from Savinder Singh, because it is factual book and it will give you extensive knowledge of all the questions that can be asked from physical geography. For Indian geography, you can study Majid Hussain and Kullar. These two are the best book which are available in market for graduation level students. So Majid Hussain and Kullar can be your go-to option. For human geography, Majid Hussain can be used for human geography and Ashish Anjana for population geography. But there is no holistic book for human geography. So what I suggest you is you go through ePathshala PG portal, ePG Pathshala portal of at InflibNet, and it has notes of all the topics relating to migration, settlement, population studies. Okay, it is a Government of India portal, so it has very holistic information, and the information is in point, so it would be very easy for you when you are going through this portal. Okay, and you can always, you know, that you have to practice what you have studied. So you need to go through MCQ books. I prefer Arihant one because it gives explanations also of the MCQs in the beginning of the chapter, and it would be very beneficial for you. Okay, so these are my reference books to you, which I prefer you should go. Okay, and one thing I would like to tell you before uh, ending this session is that this from this year it would be mandatory for all the universities to take students from CUET PG examinations only. Okay, so right now it is up to you to decide which university you are going, because if you are preparing for JNU, you need to just prepare for 75 marks geography part A. JNU would be considering, but if you are preparing for DU or BHU, then you should know, or Jamia, then you should know that questions, all 100 questions will be considered for entrance. So prepare in such a way, okay, start with the basics and then go to higher level and keep practicing MCQs. That is the most important part. Also, I would like to tell you that very soon our channel EXAMVAT is going to start classes on geography. And if you find this to be extensive, a customized program where holistic notes would be provided to you and regular classes would be conducted, classes would be finishing before the examination dates, 1 month before examination dates, to give you ample time for revision, and regular MCQ test series would be provided. So stay tuned for more, and you can follow our channel on YouTube as well as on Telegram. Thank you. Stay tuned. Have a great day. Bye.